podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, Media Creators Co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbb-radio.com.
Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, the 716th Attack Legion
That's some cap.
podcast. Talk about setting that bar high.
Gaslighting the entire internet.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are your favorite. We know it.
Yeah.
So on today's
Everyone loves
episode,
us.
we're going to be talking about a few different topics. Primarily Rebels, Rogue One, and Solo.
Good job, Julian.
He's just messing with.
Sorry.
This is why we can't have nice things.
It's fine. It's fine.
So we're going to start with Rebels. And
Amazing.
on Rebels, besides the animation style, because I know how you all feel about it.
I'm not that negative on it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm negative on character design, but everything else is fine.
Yeah, like
No,
I think-
I hate how some of the characters are portrayed.
So, like I
think
said,
that's
besides animation style.
Oh, he's of the legacy characters that show up. Yeah, that is true. that is.
Besides animation style, what were your thoughts on the pros and cons of the show? Jack, we're going to start with you.
really the only con I have for the season or for the series is like season 1. Like I thought it was just super overly goofy and like very childish. Like if you compare it to season 1 of Clone Wars, like Clone Wars is like it has funny moments, but it's nowhere near the level of like goofiness that like I love in the later season. I love Ezra and Zeb, but in the first season, they just annoy me a lot.
Ezra's got to be the most annoying character ever in the first season.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, not to completely cut you off for your idea, but like the whole season 1 thing straight up is that they were just like, we're gonna make a Star Wars kids show, and it's gonna be a sequel to Clone Wars, and it's just nothing in comparison to what.
Yeah,
they
there are a
had.
couple gems in there, but I'll let Jack finish up.
Well,
his
yeah, they had
thoughts
it.
first.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
gonna
go
get
ahead,
to
and then
them.
we'll talk about those episodes.
The only other thing that I didn't like from the entire show, I hate the spinning Inquisitor's lightsabers. Hate them. I hate that they fly. I think that's
No, I think
stupidest thing ever.
I don't think the spinning's bad.
It's
I think this
so bad.
I think the fact that they've
flying's
now
dumb, and also
yeah.
I hate that moment in fucking Survivor where the shit fucking what's her name jumps over
the
the
Ninth Sister.
yeah that. And then just,
We're going to
woo.
abstain from spoilers for the game for
that's
people
true.
who
That
have
is
yet to
true.
play it.
Yeah.
That is true.
I'm just gonna say, light has no mass. So there's no
Exactly.
way
Yeah,
that
that's
it-
like
They
yeah.
no
should not
lift.
be able to
I
fly.
understand. I understand the spinning thing that you're saying. The spinning is like a grievous thing.
also,
like
though-
the spinning is entirely like a gimmick just to like
Inquisitors.
because one, the Inquisitors aren't
said
that
that
trained themselves. They're supposed to be way shittier than even Vader because they're not supposed to be a threat. But also like a lot of the Jedi they're hunting are not like the best Jedi. Weirdly enough, all the Jedi that survived Order 66 are not like all badasses. They're
they're
not
mostly
all.
Padawans.
There are a lot of Padawans and broken like people and like just random Force sensitives that they were hunting. So a lot of it's just intimidation, I think. That's fine.
The last thing I don't like was Ezra's blaster saber.
That shit sucks.
I
Yeah.
hated that.
That shit sucks.
Oh my god, I love it.
No, because
Okay.
it was so kid show. Because it's like it shocks him and
Yeah.
It
he's
is.
knocked
Well,
out.
they made it goofy.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
if they didn't go out of their way to make it as goofy as it was, like I'm sitting there, and I guess because I'm into the whole the replica lightsaber building like stuff, and I'm really big on the like installing electronics and the NeoPixel lightsabers and stuff like that, and they have like a live action version of the Ezra lightsaber that you can install with NeoPixel and stuff like that, and it is fucking awesome. Like it
Yeah,
is
Julian
so
showed
cool.
me it last week.
I can imagine that's cool. Yeah.
Like
Or 2
just
weeks ago.
like the live action version. So I would love like I wish they didn't make it stupid because also it's pretty genius if you think about it. Like a lightsaber that's combined with a blaster, so you're kind of like like
Well,
if
you
you
only
think
use
about
one
it,
at a time,
you could be
Yeah, you can only use one at
No.
a time.
you could be
Yeah.
hiding. Yeah, you can only use one.
He
at a time.
because-
had to turn off the blade
Because
every
Kanan
time he
uses
shot.
it against the Grand
Grand
Inquisitor
Inquisitor.
because he double blades it, and I think
Oh,
he
you're
has-
right,
he
you're-
like turns it off, shoots, and then
You're
like
right.
goes
And then turns it
again.
back on.
Which
But
that was a cool concept. Once
Yeah,
it, like,
that it only
Kanan
works
used it,
once
but
or-
Ezra was almost not good enough.
Well,
as
Ezra
a
says
Jedi
in there,
to
he goes,
effectively use it.
the exact quote was, "Why didn't I think of that?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like
Dumb.
honestly, I don't think it's that dumb. I think
think
it's pretty
it's-
genius. And also like if I was a Jedi, the theory behind that is like if I was trying to hide the fact that I was a Jedi but wanted to keep a lightsaber on me all the time, I'd turn it into a blaster too and just like whatever. But I have I we'll get to me when it's my turn.
Christian, pros and cons, one each.
I'll do
Because you already listed a couple. That's the only reason I'm limiting.
I would say
you.
like for first, I'll defend season 1, but I'll agree with Jack on like how the negatives of season 1 is definitely the weakest season, like by far, and even to the point of like the music, like the music, like if
Just in, like, the
we
worst
were doing a
places ever.
rewatch and
Rich has some opinions
and
on
like
the music.
they use random themes where they're not like they don't fit thematically. A lot of it is just like randomly throwing like the endless catalog of new Star Wars themes that Disney had just bought like in at random moments, and then the later seasons, like Rebels music is actually like pretty decent. Like it's pretty good. Like I think all the animated shows actually are pretty solid. Like
they're-
scores for the most part, Bad Batch, Clone Wars, all of them. And I think once you get later
Bad
into,
Batch
I think, but the
theme.
first season of Rebels doesn't because it's using good scores, but
It's-
it's using cheapened versions.
It's literally
It's
just
misplaced
taking
famous scores that are misplaced often.
Yeah, it's just taking segments of like your favorite pieces of Star Wars music and they're being like, let's just throw it over this scene, and it totally doesn't fit. It's totally random. It's like it's almost just like somebody went on like royaltyfreemusic.net and just picked like a bunch of music that doesn't fit and throws it in there because they're like, it's Star Wars music, it'll work, and it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It did
You
not.
mean like our opening? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
In terms of the animation style, I'll do just
How
something
dare
quick
you?
on that.
I took a while to find that music.
I won't like talk about the animation style too much. Like I said, because I think it's not that bad, but it just in comparison to the Clone Wars animation style is special, even beyond just like having it be like a Star Wars thing. Like I think that animation style is genuinely like a really like special, like kind of innovative like style that's like lived. And there's a reason that like they brought it back. And now
So-
now it
It's
seems to be
so
like the
good.
official like medium of Star Wars animation. Seemingly is going to be like they're doing season 3 of Bad Batch, which I think Rebels and Bad Batch are actually kind of like
Very
structurally similar. In terms of like the dynamic at least, because at least from Clone Wars, which is very like 3 arcs at a time, 2 arc, 1 episode, and then it's obviously like there's common characters you follow, whereas this is like a family that you're following, and I do like that aspect of this, and that's one thing that I think they nailed the best is I don't think like there are a couple, I don't know, is there like a standout like character on like the main cast for any like what's your standout character of the main like 6 like who's your like everyone's favorite?
Chopper.
Like, but I'd actually Chopper.
Besides Chopper, yeah.
Chopper's kind of like everyone's favorite, but
Zeb.
like beyond. Zeb's
I
a good
love
choice.
Zeb.
Like,
I think I like Zeb and
But for different reasons. I mean,
but I think it's just a very natural like family dynamic. That
Yeah.
like, so even if like there are episodes that you don't because there is a decent amount of filler in Rebels.
yeah, well
But
the
I
first
think
season
they do what-
especially,
they
except
do
for
it-
like the Empire Day
Yeah.
episode.
But they did a good job of making you like just like Bad Batch as well, actually, like of making you care about the dynamics between the characters and care about them as like a group, and obviously that they really gets good like towards season 4 where they're able to actually like pull on those like strings and like
Yeah.
those relationships like really well. In terms of negatives, I don't know. Just I think Thrawn for like most part is a little bit negative. But I think only like when it was coming out though. I think if that was like because for a while like there was no idea that Thrawn was gonna come back like in live action like we know now. So for a while it was like okay, is this like Thrawn's only addition to like the new canon? Because obviously it was he was decanonized and bringing him back at all was like and also
Once
I think
again, Dave Filoni just
and even then like there are parts of Rebels that I think like when you're near at the again same thing with Bad Batch when you're at the main story of Rebels which is when they go to like the Jedi actually I'll pick this when they go to the Lothal stuff I think is really especially once you get later on but anything in the Jedi Temple on Lothal is like almost is like really really good Star Wars and I'm talking like even season 1 like when they first go to the
Weird Master
temple.
Yoda.
With Weird Master Yoda. That's a good episode beyond the
is.
fucking atrocious Yoda model. like other than that though.
It is. It's a
But
good
I'll let
episode.
I'll let someone else. I could go off into
I
little
think-
tangents all over Rebels, all over the place. But I'll
yeah,
let somebody else move
I
on.
think like I've got. I think my biggest con on the whole show is that every single character is completely unlikable in the first season except for Hera. Like, I just hate all of them. They're all annoying. They're all really aggravating. Like, Kanan is just a dickhead to everybody.
I don't.
Like, it's just like
Yeah.
I really like he treats
First season's a little forced with some of the relationships.
yeah. I mean, and then like
And they're a little stereotypical. some of the relationships.
Sabine doesn't like she's a cool character, but she doesn't do like anything.
No, she doesn't
for
get
them.
anything to do for the first 2 seasons.
For
really.
like for the first 2 seasons, she's just completely
They kinda
useless.
use her,
And then
like,
even in
backstory in the
even in
series,
seasons
too.
3 and 4, like she gets a little bit more, but it's really not like.
Actually,
Well, the
I
Mandalorian
particularly like
stuff-
her in 3 and 4. Actually,
I
I'll
think she
differ
gets.
for you
I
a
think she
little
gets
bit
a lot
there,
better, but
The Mandalore stuff's.
the Mandalore stuff is good. But
I think the Darksaber stuff is particularly, and
yeah.
but even like I've said this in the previous podcast before. I like the dynamic that she has with Ezra.
Ezra.
Like, in
Well,
that
yeah,
final-
I think
I
that
like
the-
the partnership because they're like almost like grow up into like a leadership role like in the group.
Yeah, I like
in
that-
that final season.
yeah, but I just think like season 1 Ezra is just annoying.
Yes.
He's
Yeah,
so
I think
annoying.
most people agree with
And
that.
like Zeb is Zeb's I mean pretty likable, but I mean even into season 2 and then even into season 3, his motivation for almost everything is he just like doesn't want to do anything with them ever. They are always like, "Hey Zeb, let's go do this thing," and he's always his typical thing that they always have him do is he's like, "Oh, this is why I hate
He's like the
working with you
grumpy
guys."
co-
Like he's
comic
like a
relief,
grumpy
yeah.
old man through like all of it, and it just makes it really difficult to watch. But then like season 3 happens and you get into like Kanan actually becomes like really really cool, and you're like, all right, yeah, I kind of like him now.
I mean, yeah,
And-
there is very much 2 halves of Rebels. if that
yeah, the
makes
first
sense.
2 seasons are really and like again like first 2 seasons of Clone Wars are hard to get through. The first 2 seasons of Rebels, even when Ahsoka comes in, like every time Ahsoka's on, I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome.
She's
and
not
then,
around too much,
And then
actually.
she's not
Well,
around too much. But then, other
She
than
doesn't
that,
get
it's like
introduced until the end of season
painstakingly
2,
difficult to get
No,
through
and
the
then
first 2
Rich,
seasons.
one-
you had
and
something?
season
End of
1.
season 1.
I had a couple
He
little
recently
things.
rewatched it, so
I
Or
I
watched
just
it the first
watched
time,
it and I
actually.
watched it with him and I think you guys have it all pretty good run. I every time like anybody blew their nose in the first season, they're like da na 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 na, and then they're
Yes.
using like the Luke and Leia theme in totally wrong places.
Like for
so stuff
Ezra
like that
and, like-
annoyed me, and I agree with everybody's things. The funny thing, I have a theory about Rebels. I feel like whoever it was that green-lighted it called in Dave Filoni and said, listen, we need you to do this like kid show. And he's like, okay. And he did a kid show, and as soon as they weren't looking, he just said, fuck it. I'm bringing back Thrawn. I'm stuck with this animation style. I'm going to try to make it better. But they're not paying attention to me anymore, so I'm just going to like make the show that I wanted to make.
and then he just started
And-
tying up Clone Wars
Because
threads.
after the first, by the end of the first season, it's totally turning into really just a continuation of Clone Wars.
at least in some ways.
In some ways,
Well, yeah, I mean they get Rex and
And
season
Ahsoka.
two, season
Ahsoka.
two,
that's
and
why,
season
like,
two
I
a
really
lot.
think like they didn't even realize that he changed it, that he changed the like what the show was, because then it got really deep. Like it got really, really, really good. Like especially when they had like the the creatures and all this stuff, and Tom Baker shows up and like
Yeah, there's
and I'm
tons
like,
of weird like shit that I love in where
you
it's
know.
like Bendu, War
Clancy
Between
Brown.
Worlds.
Bendu,
all
like
stuff
when
like
as soon as they had Bendu, like, and it was Tom Baker, and I'm like, oh, Tom Baker's here. So like they had
but
me
also like
enthralled.
not only just bringing back like Ahsoka and the clones, but also like Hondo shows up randomly
I would
for
say I
one
love-
episode
no.
in season
Like, Ezra
1.
had,
I
like,
love
the
and then he
Hondo.
comes back
He's
in
in
the
there.
I
One
was
at
good
a time,
friends
one at a
with.
time. He's
At least
the-
I think we
yeah.
were friends.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just his like
Like
One
all
at
the
a time.
weird references, but he doesn't say anybody by name. Like it's kind
Yeah.
of cool that he never says like Anakin or he doesn't say Obi-Wan. Like he
he's
just
like, I was
kinda-
friends with
I
the
was
Jedi.
friends with the Jedi. At least I think we were friends. Like it's just
Yeah.
great. Like
Yeah.
it's really really good. you
It's
know?
just
So
Yeah, I would say it.
next question.
you listed some pros.
Or I listed my cons
Yeah,
that
that's
I
some
didn't.
cons.
Yeah,
like.
we all listed.
You
cons.
listed. Well, you listed a couple pros, Bendu and stuff like that. You piggybacked off of Rich.
Yeah.
So what real pros then? Independent thought. Do you have in regards to Rebels? Like what?
Ezra becomes really cool in the last 2 seasons.
In
He's
season
like
3, he get like
his character just becomes like He's like annoying as he's like honestly he's like Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Ahsoka in the movie is the most annoying character ever, and then he like magically has this amazing.
And you
character
think
arc.
they're gonna like draw out this like dark side arc for like the entire like that's what they start season 3 with because of this flirting with like the Sith holocron and stuff. And you think they're gonna draw it out and probably take too long. But they don't. They just do the first 2 episodes. Kanan then rocks up and then is like the Kanan that he is for the rest of the series, which is like one of the coolest Jedi like in the series
also,
of Star Wars in general.
Favorite things I've been seeing all over like TikTok and stuff is Freddie Prinze Jr. just absolutely shitting on
He hates Star Wars now.
He hates Star Wars.
I don't think he hates Star Wars. I think he hates Star Wars
He hates
fans.
Star Wars
Yeah,
fans.
Well, yeah,
that's
he
true,
hates Star Wars fans.
So,
yeah.
he
I
can-
would hate Star Wars
for
fans
those-
too.
No,
if they weren't like
yeah,
us.
that's fine. Yeah,
For
like,
those
it's
who-
understandable.
For those who don't know, and I'm just going to give a quick recap. He basically said, fuck you to all the Star Wars fans. It was like, it's for kids. Fucking deal with it. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. He quoted Han
No,
Solo
that's not a
and
real
said,
argument.
What?
I mean, just the I hate the it's for kids art because that's like there are still like quality. You know what I mean?
I'm
Like,
over
the kid
summarizing what
shows.
he's saying.
Yeah.
I'm not. But he's like, George Lucas told me this. Dave Filoni told me this. So fuck you. This is what it is. Take it for what it is. Now, y'all listed your pros and cons.
Yeah, what do you got?
I got some nice ones. First of all, bringing Maul back.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah.
Maul
Again,
back as
I
old
figured I'd get to that
master. Just I'm Maul. I was like, yes.
and then they had to come up. Well, then and then also they were like, "Fuck, we're gonna do Clone Wars season 7. We got to figure out how
It
he
took you
escapes from
forever
this."
to realize who that was. It took you forever to realize who that was in that episode.
No, it did.
Yes, it did. It took you a
So-
little bit. It took you a little bit.
So,
You're like, who is that?
bringing Maul
You're like-
back. Yeah.
Sam Whitaker.
Sam Witwer.
Yeah.
I love Sam.
Whitwer.
Whitwer.
And somehow Maul.
Let him have a
came
live
back.
action role in something. I don't know.
Is a fantastic Maul. He's a fantastic voice actor. I think he
Speaking of
does
guy
a
who doesn't
great
shit on
job.
Star Wars fans.
We need to bring back Starkiller.
We do. But I love that, which I don't think people realize. Well, rather not that some people, but the casual fan doesn't realize is that a lot of the animation style and character design and everything was based off of Ralph McQuarrie's original
That's
comic.
a lot. That's one why I get a
Darth
lot of it in the
Vader's
past.
design is hands down my favorite Darth Vader design, especially in that show.
Like I
he
said-
just looks so good.
And that's more where a lot of the casual fans come in. Like Zeb's design was originally Chewbacca. I mean, a little bit more hairy, but essentially it was Zeb.
Yeah, it's a
They
retouch.
tweaked it,
Chopper
yeah.
was R2. The Yoda design, laugh
Oh,
with you.
God.
Yeah.
The terrible Yoda was actually like a nod to that because if you look at the concept, that's how Yoda looked originally.
That's probably the only one that I didn't like. That we didn't really.
I
need
thought it
to
was a
bring
little
the
weird. It
concept
was
back.
just a weird. I was like, nah, you could have
Well,
gone with Clone Wars style.
I think
It
the
was-
thing about that is like if you're gonna, because we already know what Yoda looks like. Like we've never met Zeb, we've never seen Chopper, like we've never seen that. And Darth Vader looks similar enough to Darth Vader, but like to almost completely redesign Yoda to match the
But-
original thing, just give us a new character.
What I was thinking about this as I was rewatching, because I can just do that because it's great, is that Ezra's vision of Yoda is what. It's not really the Yoda that we know. It's the Yoda that Ezra thinks that he's seeing, because the way they describe him. Ezra's never met Yoda.
He's still alive at that.
No, I view
He's
that.
still alive. He's
I
not a
view that.
Force
I view that
ghost.
as a like a. I actually I have a different interpretation of that, but I'll let you finish.
I just think it's like Ezra's vision that the Force grants him is based off of descriptions and everything that has been given to him through other people's
I think you're.
experiences with Yoda.
I'll tell you why I think you're wrong, because that temple. First off, that temple is the World Between Worlds temple. It's so. Like I think there's a weird like connection. That is a strong ass like Force vector. Like what if not like one of the strongest in the series is there. Also, they go back in the second season with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka like literally waves to Yoda. So it's
she
very
sees
very
Yoda.
clearly
I get that,
it's very
but-
clearly a link, and I view it more as, and I think this is almost better, that Yoda even on Dagobah, because Dagobah is also a Force vector as well.
It's a dark side nexus, yeah.
I mean, I mean, there's a level of but I think there's also a level of.
think there's a good
I think you
balance
can.
there.
I think you can channel like the Force, even if it's like one way or the other, and then kind of use it in a certain sense. That's just my like whatever opinion. But I imagine it's more than just dark side there as well. But I don't know. He's like directly talking with. I almost view that as, and even in like there was that Star Killer like thing, like in like. Force Unleashed
Force
2,
Unleashed 2, when
which
he
is
goes
like
to
I know
Dagobah.
that's not canon anymore, but I almost like this kind of idea that maybe even if Yoda's not like individually helping like every like Jedi out there, like maybe he's at least like kind of keeping an eye on things like in a way. I don't know.
Like a watcher standpoint.
Yeah, like he's just at least trying to see like what the Jedi are doing. Like he's on this vector. I don't know what Yoda powers are like, but necessarily from there. But obviously there's at least some interaction between Ezra and Yoda, and they've never met, which is I don't know, which I understand like that level. So it is interesting that the Force grants him like access to like the Grand Master of the fucking Jedi Order, like over on Dagobah.
We'll show him a lot, so he's still continuing training.
Yeah.
That's
And
the way you
that
look at
Ahsoka moment where like Ahsoka sees Yoda is actually like a very quick and it's very very nice little moment.
So
especially with
Don't
the
they talk?
no, I think no, they're leaving. The temple's like starting to collapse because the what's called the Inquisitors are there, and then she turns around and she just sees like Yoda as like a kind of figure.
Maybe I'm wrong because I haven't watched it in a while, but I thought that like when Ezra and Kanan go into the temple,
Yeah, because all three of them
she
have a thing.
sees Yoda at the beginning and they talk for a minute.
I don't think so. I
Maybe
think
I'm
she
wrong.
just sees him at the end. No. Kanan talks to Yoda.
Okay,
In
so
the first season, he's just in his head. He doesn't actually get to see Yoda, but he does talk to Kanan.
He
as
does.
well.
He does talk to him because he gets locked outside the.
So I think it's more. I think it's more of a weird vector that's like can.
I just
put
think
people
they.
in contact from far away.
I think it's plain and simple. They just gave him a bad design. Next question.
Yeah. So but pros and cons.
Yeah.
I think pros though overall, I like how it evolved. Like we said, the music that was a big thing.
I mean, every season is better than the last. So
I think it progressively gets better.
It does get better.
So I liked the Ralph McQuarrie design style.
that's why I give a lot of it a pass.
I like that they brought in the clones.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
No.
Okay.
My cons are no, Jack.
Keep going.
Asserted dominance.
The cons that I have with it are the biggest one I think I have is just how I read a lot of the Legends continuity.
Yeah.
What did I do, Jack?
I don't know.
They're just making each other laugh now. I don't even think it has to do with you now. I think they're
Just keep going.
just
We're good.
they're just doing what they usually do at the beginning. They just decided to do it like a half hour in this time.
We're only like 20 minutes in,
We're
not
not
even half an hour.
sorry, Jack's face is just the funniest shit I've ever seen. Anyway, the legend
Hold it
stuff,
together, people. Let's go.
Yeah, that's
the legend stuff that they bring in is
That's a good point.
to me the depiction is visualizations and stuff. The like the Nogri, Rook.
Rook's
I don't like how they did the animation for him because when I read Heir to the Empire and they get the descriptions, it's a whole different thing. It was more.
Besides the animation.
You're right. I did
Don't
say
get
besides
stuck
the
on the
animation.
animation.
I did
You
say besides
dare
that.
use my own spells against me.
To praise the anime.
Pros. The pros though. I like the character development for Ezra.
Yeah, he gets so
I
good.
like Ezra's blaster lightsaber, and I like how they make him a what's the word?
Pissant.
Person.
No,
Yes, yeah, that's a good
unorthodox
one, yeah.
style of Jedi, because you're scavenging for parts in a rebellion, and you get to see how it grows through everything.
Yeah. Well, the first lightsaber is like reflective of like Ezra as a
personality.
character,
Oh,
yeah,
his
I have-
personality and the street rat, like
have-
the Aladdin like kind of thing. That's often been. No, that's literally a thing that
Yeah.
people always have. Like the first episode of like Ezra, I think is like there's an actual like purposeful like connection to like Aladdin. Weirdly enough.
And I have one more con that I think everybody might agree with, and it may, and honestly, my probably comes off of the idea that it's a kids show, but like it's set in a time where the Jedi are like extinct, and if I'm being honest, they do a lot of fucking Jedi stuff in public. Like they go out and they do a lot of Jedi stuff.
To be fair, that whole idea of like the mysticism of like the Jedi and them being forgotten, that's never worked in any level of since the prequels. That has never worked. Like the 20-year gap in the middle is not enough for the Jedi to become mythology. Like you can look at any like real world history of how like things become
Well, I think
mythology.
that's why they created
and,
the
like,
Inquisitors was just
and
like
again,
there's no way that
like
they
if the
would
Jedi
become
were a
myth this
little
late.
bit more niche of like a thing within the like Republic, that would have been like one one thing, and I know there's not like a lot of them, so maybe nobody ever met a Jedi, but like people watch the news. And that's that's a whole aspect.
How-
That's a thing. That's literally a thing.
All right.
Like if you watch
And
like the
they
original
talk.
trilogy, like one of the big like things behind the scenes is Anakin was like by propaganda was like one of the most well-known Jedi in the galaxy purposefully because they wanted to make him big up. So when they said he was dead and the Jedi like killed him, that they could use him as so not only were they using
The
like
greatest
the
Republic
literal
war
physical
hero.
being of
Yeah.
Anakin to like betray the Jedi, but they also used his image to betray the Jedi.
So
as
what
well.
I don't like about
So people know the Jedi. In 20 years to forget it does not make sense.
is the character change in regards to attributes like costumes and stuff like that. Like when you look at Anakin, and it's not an animation style; it's a costume change, so it's different. He's got the old like he's got the Jedi logo on his robes all of a sudden. I'm like, what the hell is that?
that's
so
like.
stupid. But Jack,
That's
now that I
dumb.
got my thoughts out, you can say what you wanted to say.
Because 3 other people didn't jump in. But
I hardly ever get a chance to talk.
one of
sometimes.
my favorite parts of
Splinter.
Rebels.
Sorry, guys.
He's got a Jedi
One of
splinter.
my favorite part of Rebels, and it's so minute, but like in the last season, in the last arc, when everyone's coming together, and when Ezra calls on the wolves, and Gregor's like, "Wolf, you got your pack back," and I'm like, tears.
So I was actually going to mention that further down.
But I got a
love it.
couple I got to throw in.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like
Okay,
yeah,
I got a couple that are I think funny. First of all, it drives me crazy that Mon Mothma only has one outfit for 40
he fucking
years.
hates that. He fucking
Like
hates-
she has like a white dress with like,
a little, like,
various
necklace thing,
necklaces.
They
And it's
changed
like-
it slightly in Andor.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
really
they did.
not
she wears,
though.
She wears a
like-
cream colored dress in
on
Andor.
Andor, she's got-
she has a lot of costumes.
On
in Andor.
Andor, she's got a lot of fucking.
They do the
costumes.
Padme thing.
But
whenever
like,
it's new
but
time, you
like
can see her.
on the Rebels, like the first time she rolls up, I'm like, is she wearing the costume from Return of the Jedi? Like, is that? Yeah, she's got one. Maybe she ran away, and that she was like Gilligan's Island. They only had one outfit that she could bring with them.
That's her rebel disguise.
Honestly, when Mom
but-
shows up in Rebels, she's pretty good.
There-
Like,
what
genuinely.
You know what I really like on the show though is I like the ship designs.
Oh, the Ghost. We haven't even talked
The
about
Ghost is a great ship. I like the way it works. I like that it's kind of Millennium Falcon-y
Yep.
from the same, whatever.
It's a Corellian freighter.
Corellian freighter.
Yeah. Different
But
model.
I also like the way when they're fighting kind of the whatever, that the ships aren't like full-size Star Destroyers very often. They're the smaller ships, which makes, to me, like is more practical.
Especially in the earlier seasons.
The lightweight
they're covering
freighters.
light
Yeah, like-
freighters
right,
and
right.
Gazantes and stuff like that.
Well, like you get to see it with the Phoenix Squadron,
Yep.
yeah.
where he's like, yeah, I got a Star Destroyer. They're like, that's not a Star Destroyer.
And then the only other complaint I think about is that, like, I was saying this to Christian, we were watching it. I'm like Hera and Kanan. I'm like, they're clearly a couple, but for why can't we like? It was like watching the Brady Bunch, but we never saw like the husband and wife like spend any time together because then But I will say, when they finally get to the end of it, there are some heartbreaking moments.
Oh my
And
Yeah,
you
season
like
four
it
is
rips
so
your heart
fucking-
out, and for animation, it's done incredibly well.
So
I will say the final that final 5-episode run, maybe 6-episode run of Rebels from
Oh
like
my
the
gosh.
Kanan. Well, actually to the episode before the Kanan episode, obviously, and then the run after that. Just like there's very little Star Wars. I think that's like. Honestly, that's like
But
it's
even-
not quite like the finale of Clone Wars quality. Those couple episodes, but it's like it's getting there. Like,
But
it's,
when
it's
they
kind of
come
up
when
there.
they come back from that last mission with Ahsoka, when she disappears, and like they even put a little thing in where like Rex is. He doesn't say anything, but he's looking for Ahsoka, and there's like a sadness in his face. Obviously, they off camera or off drawing, they explain to him, well, she's gone, because
Right.
at that point they all think she's gone.
So
I like
yeah,
that there's some really
consequences of that.
She's not.
Yeah, like there's
So
there's
you mentioned-
consequences to Twilight of the
within
Apprentice.
that
Like, there's-
content, within that context, I just like the way they really they address things. Even the one episode, like they spent a whole episode pissed when they found out Kanan's dead.
So-
like, they don't just go rolling up. Well, here we go. There's the next episode.
For those
Right.
of you who don't follow us on Instagram, all of us went to go see the re-release of Return of the Jedi at theaters, and me and Julian both in the movie theater were like, "It's Rex!" when he came on screen.
Oh, the white bearded dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
Yeah, I
was
did the
never
same
supposed
thing.
to be
Everything,
Rex.
man,
They
yeah.
were just like, let's make it a thing.
He's
It's a
Rex,
fan.
man.
It's a fan thing that we
It's a
confirmed.
great thing.
It's a fan,
So you
it's
mentioned
a fan
Ahsoka,
thing that
though.
is now canon. They
Yeah.
they made.
So you mentioned Ahsoka. So do you guys believe? And this is a real quick yes or no.
Yeah.
Do you believe that Ahsoka was brought into the show because the initial ratings for the show were so bad?
100%.
No, I doubt that.
Because
No.
in
Really?
in
It's Filoni.
2016, Disney XD had 1.2 million viewers on Rebels. I think they brought Ahsoka in to bring in the Clone Wars fandom.
Mhm.
I don't think it's
Oh,
because the viewership was down. I think it
Yeah, they
was
don't
just
care.
was to bring in Clone Wars watchers.
Yeah, Disney has not once reacted to like things not doing well, like in Star Wars.
Clearly,
they haven't done a
they
single.
made
They have,
3
Lucasfilm hasn't
sequels.
reacted to a single thing not doing well besides Solo, which just made them kill doing movies at all. Which
Like I
was,
said, they
which was
made
also the
sequels.
wrong conclusion to make from that, which is dumb. We haven't had a movie in like years because of that.
And we'll get
Like,
to that. We'll get to that later on.
But yeah, I did research, and they had a good viewership. I think it was just to bring in Clone Wars.
Okay, because
Yeah, I don't think there was any
my
doubt that Filoni
perception
would
of
bring
it
her
was
in.
that she was brought in solely because it wasn't doing it for fans.
I would imagine that that's a. I mean, she literally gets introduced at the end of the first season. They don't.
I
like,
think
add
Filoni-
animation
that's
stuff
Filoni's
She does
ship,
come in
like,
at the
into
end of the
It's
first season.
Filoni's
Yeah.
favorite character, and she was always.
Yeah, I
gonna
don't
be-
think there was ever any doubt.
He
that, like,
was going to
Filoni
do it
was
in the
gonna
first
bring her in,
episode, but
like-
he was going to bring
But
her.
I
in
imagine that's like a
all
bullshit
along.
thing for the people that were initially like mad they changed the animation style. Like, well, they had to bring Ahsoka back
Yeah.
now. It's like, no, that's not what Ben
So
did.
that was just my perception. Perception's not always reality,
yeah.
but that was my perception. Julian,
Yeah.
you said yes. Does that change your opinion based off of what Jack was saying?
No,
or
I mean,
is
like,
it-
I understand where, like, I get it, but I think also, like, it's different. Like, I didn't watch Clone Wars. Oh, well, that's not true. I watched Clone Wars when it was on TV, but I did not watch Rebels when it was on TV, so I didn't, like, but if I feel like, maybe it's just the way I watch shows, but, like, I could not ever sit down and watch Rebels one episode a week. There's no way I would quit halfway through.
Yeah,
And
that's.
but
I only did
if
it
they
for the final
brought
season,
Ahsoka
so.
back, I would have been like, okay, I'll watch and find out what she does next.
But she's barely in the second season. Even.
Well,
so it's not like. So
exactly,
I would
but-
agree with you if she was like shoehorned into every episode
Yeah,
of
and
next
so that's,
season.
you know,
but
would
she's
be
in.
different.
I can tell you how many episodes she's in now. She's in 5 episodes of the next season. Like there's of a 22 episode season.
Yeah,
if I remember
22 in the
correctly.
second
She
season.
it might be 6. I think she's in the premiere when she senses Vader. She's at the Jedi Temple. She fights off some Inquisitors, and she's in the finale.
Oh, by the way,
No,
that
I think
episode's
that's-
amazing.
yeah.
When
No, yeah.
when she saves them all from that, because
Yeah, every time Ahsoka
they get
shows
the
up, it's
wrong
great.
baby. I think that's hilarious.
To be fair, all those episodes Ahsoka's in are actually really, really good.
They are
Especially
really
when she
good.
like senses Vader for the first time, like from when she's like in the Ghost and she senses him in the TIE fighter.
She
That
said
scene is so stupid
was-
too.
but
When Vader just fucking obliterates like
So
20
the
A-wings.
apprentice lives.
Like yeah,
So
nearly destroys the fleet.
my perception was that she was brought in because I also didn't watch it because I didn't have
Yeah.
cable and stuff growing up. It wasn't a thing that I had readable access to, so I binge watched the hell out of it when it
Yeah,
became on
that's how
streaming
I-
services. So okay, now that you've seen it all and you've seen the characters grow and you've seen the show prosper from what it was to what it became with the World Between Worlds, as well as the crew of the Ghost and every and all things Rebels. What do you think of Ezra and Kanan's relationship? Do you think that is a master and apprenticeship that could have existed during the age of the Jedi Order?
No,
Well,
that's
Kanan,
the point.
People
That's why
don't-
their relationship works.
People don't even like focus on how unique of a this is like a good. I don't even. You guys might be familiar with this, but like a lot of the ideas are especially like the Sith idea, and this was like the Anakin thing of like that if you like love so much that like that could be used against you, and like you can like almost use the fear of like losing that love to like fall. And then Kanan, for whatever reason, just rocks up. And Kanan is like and I guess like even like Cal Kestis actually is kind of like this as well. But Kanan like obviously abandons like the ideas of the Jedi for a while, and he kind of only wakes up to it and like kind of relets it like consume him, and he really does it once he loses his eyesight, obviously. But first when he lets Ezra in, but he's just able to like he's like almost like the perfect like Jedi, especially by like where he's able to use the love and still be a Jedi. Which is like not a typical thing when we're taught a lot of the time that, and I know that there's a little bit of gray with like with Jedi caring for each other and stuff like that. But he's like fully like he loves Hera, he loves the literal family, and he's not, and it doesn't I don't even think he ever like flirts with the dark side.
No.
There's not a moment of like, so he's not corrupted in that weird way, and that's also kind of the teacher Ezra needs too.
Yeah, I think they. Oh, sorry. go ahead.
Especially in a new era that's not where there's no Jedi Order and the rules are gone, and a lot of the rules that there were in place led to what's gone now, like why there is no Jedi now. Like,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Julian.
Well, I think that's like the good. I think I really do like that. Again, aside, like I said, Kanan is, in my opinion, he's just. I fucking hate him in the first season. He is such a hateable character in the first season, and it's because they just forced him to be a dick. But coming off of season 2, 3, and 4,
there's a
it's
couple
like
forced character things in season 1. Yeah.
But
For
they were
plot,
just like, hey, these are the people, and then you get into like to actually deep dive into their characters, and I think like they really tried to make him an example of like what can happen if you know like what can happen to a Jedi who does have attachments, but also is like just has the common sense not to be an idiot like Anakin. Like, not to say that Anakin's like a terrible dude, but like Anakin's an idiot.
Well,
like, because again, I
Anakin's
texted everybody like
overconfident.
everything in episode 3 could have very easily been
Anakin's
solved.
overconfident. Kanan's very underconfident.
Right, and it would have like, and I think that's why they go ahead and make him such an example of like he is like the perfect Jedi. He can have the attachments that he wants. Well, even Ahsoka is basically the same way. She has her attachments and everything like that too. But like I said, and I said this in the group chat with episode 3, like the conclusion of episode 3 is that the entire movie would have been resolved and could have been figured out a lot better had they just said, had Anakin just been to like Obi-Wan, hey, I'm married to Padme and she's pregnant and we need to figure out what's going on here. Like, they would have helped him, aside from Mace Windu, who's just like,
Well, Obi-Wan even
you
knows.
suck.
Like, even if you look at the novelization and then like a lot
Exactly.
of other things.
So-
Like, they should have put that scene in the movie.
The
Rabbit
Oh,
holes,
the
guys.
scene-
Rabbit holes.
yeah, Rebels.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we are
sorry.
him
going
and
on a-
Padme is so good.
Yeah,
Rabbit holes.
they've alluded to it though. So.
But,
So
The Clone Wars thing kind of fills in for that with that
Tell
one episode.
Padme I said hi.
That kind of is all we need. We don't need more. But that kind of is like that's good. Like,
So do you look at Ezra and Kanan then as father son or brothers?
I think that's father son. Yeah.
Because they allude to a lot of mom-dad stuff with Hera and Kanan.
Yeah,
but-
I think that's very much what the.
yeah, I
the
think that's a
vibe
good
is.
way of
Yeah.
putting it, I guess. I mean, it's
or like
No.
uncle nephew.
I never really considered
that's how
it.
I would see more of it like that. Is
Like
I
you're
never
close,
really-
but like you know your parentage.
I
mean,
never
they're not-
really
he's
got
like- yeah.
a family level connection from them. Like, I thought it was
yeah, they
more
seem like friends.
yeah,
They seem like best friends.
master apprentice friendship.
Got it.
Yeah, they seem
track.
like best friends.
So, thoughts on Thrawn? Yay or nay? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I loved him in the show.
I think he's mostly good. I just think that it's just because the name. Like, I'm not gonna go too far, but I just like. Because even I like the even season 3 where they let him go. I think a lot of people got pissed off that they kept letting him go. But no, he's trying to that's Thrawn. He's like he wants to catch everyone at the same time, which he would have done except for the giant force being.
The
He's
Purgle!
literally- not Purgle.
No,
No, fucking
The
Bendu
Bendu?
first. He gets fucked over twice by force shit. Like both plans only fail.
So-
because in the finales of both seasons.
So
because
you're an
of
emperor in
crazy
Rome,
force shit.
and Thrawn's
I'm in the
front
middle
of you.
because I think
Middle?
because I know the legends and like there are just so many better like more like definitive acts of like genius from Thrawn like from the legends.
Well, I
stuff.
think that's what we'll probably see.
But that's what we're
So-
going to get like in the Ahsoka and in the movie that he's
Julian?
gonna be the villain in.
I think he's pretty fucking good. I think like finally,
Perfect
like
voice.
like he comes in and you're just like, okay, thank God. Like this is some. And for me, I mean, even like he kind of
Perfect casting, by the way.
yeah, perfect casting. But his plot line is like what sort of saves the show for me. Like if it wasn't for him, if they had not
doesn't
done
enhance.
if they had not done his storyline, the show would be pointless to me.
Right.
Like he really makes the whole thing.
So you're definitely a thumbs up guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's like
He raises
like,
the stakes. Certainly.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
especially
And
if
he
you're
actually
a
like puts
Legends
them.
fan.
He actually like puts them. Like again, the first 2 seasons and even the very beginning of season 3, they just don't like they kind of like they do sort of what the Mandalorian does. They go and they do like a 1 episode thing, and then they turn around and they're always doing the same thing. They're always taking down an Empire base. They're always taking down this, or they're doing this, but they don't like do anything major that like impacts the universe. And then Thrawn shows up and everything gets very real for them really fast. And it's like everybody's got to get really cool about some shit really quickly. And that's sort of what he does. And he actually brings those characters out and like brings their personalities out a lot more trying to get to him.
Right.
So I think it's he's
Well,
he's really good character.
So I read the books.
So you keep mentioning like thumbs up, thumbs down. I feel like you're a thumbs down kind of guy.
No, I'm just saying I read the books before I watched Rebels for Legends, so I had an idea of who Thrawn was going into this. Watching Rebels, and then listening to the new Timothy Zahn, well, you could go read, Thrawn trilogy with Ascendancy and all of them. I'm gonna say thumbs up. I think Thrawn serves a purpose to show that the Empire is not just Vader and the Emperor and Grand Moff Tarkin. It's like, nah, bro. Like, there's some great strategic minds in play, and even though everybody else pretty much sucks and isn't competent, such as Callus and Governor Price and all of them. Yeah. It's like, the rebels kept getting away. But, like, Thrawn's like, no, I'm letting them go. I'm giving them the line. It's like when you go fishing. You let the line out a little bit to see if you can catch in, either one entire amount or catch the bigger fish. Yeah. Because to quote Qui-Gon,
there's some neat stuff with Thrawn.
We should argue about a conspiracy or two with the end of the show.
There's a lot of neat stuff with Thrawn because I think the level of, like what he does with the culture,
because that's like his
the Twilight culture,
and that's the thing that's
them.
from the Legends book where he would literally study the cultures of other races, and then he would like dissect their battle plan.
So like
when
he's in his office and he's got all that cool shit in his office because he knows his enemies and the people that because he knows how to manipulate them based on their own culture.
Too.
He's
just
really for a really well-written villain.
That's what I mean. And again,
I just know how much better he can be. I'm not saying this, and his stuff is really good.
And again, going back to my point, they couldn't have brought Thrawn in right away because there's no way like that.
A Grand Admiral's not going to come in.
He's a little transition. You can't be a bad guy in a little kid show until you realize it's not a little kid show.
I feel the same way about the Mando verses. Like they're building up to the same, like they're doing the same thing as all of this stuff is building up to the Thrawn fight, and you're like, and again, because he is such a big bad, like for him to just come in randomly would make no sense. He's such a prominent villain. Yeah. Like he really is one of like the better villains.
I mean, he's one of the original heir to the Empire. Literally the original heir to the Empire.
Well, like
what
Christian said,
the original threat after the original Empire.
What Christian said is like he would have won.
Yeah,
he would have won. Like he would have beaten them multiple times
if the Force
without and it also like Ezra's very very specific Force ability, which is like animal
animal friendship.
That
is actually
animal friendship. Yeah, it is animal friendship. You're right. Yeah.
So I love his reaction with the whales.
Yeah,
like Thrawn's reaction with the whales is like, oh come on, like it just you gotta like they animated him like, well. How the hell how could I have possibly thought of that? Like he thought like he
but I love special
the whales by the way are really freaking cool concept in sci-fi. Like I mean obviously there's other things that are like that in sci-fi, but the use of the whales and that whole thing and the way
they got a
it's really it's very and I watch a lot of different types of sci-fis and I really like that.
Yeah.
Can we argue about one thing very quickly? Do you think I just want an opinion. I don't mean you have to argue about it. And I think we might have talked about this before. I'm not sure though. For the Ahsoka getting pulled out from the World Between Worlds, and because this is going to be
where I was going next.
Okay, then good.
World Between Worlds was next.
Okay, World Between Worlds is next because that's the most significant addition to canon from the show. It's the most probably. Okay, so I guess here's the question: is Ahsoka's always meant to be pulled out of the portal? Like, is that just the timeline as it is, and it's part of the timeline for Ahsoka to be pulled out, or
did
Ezra change the timeline? I'm inclined to. I'll go first. I'm inclined to say the second.
That he altered the timeline.
That he altered the timeline. One, because Ahsoka's portal is the only portal in the World Between Worlds that is different. It is a triangle in a circle instead of just the usual circle. I don't know what that means, but it's symbology, and obviously the fact that Morai is there and that weird thing. That's the Morai is there being the weirdest one, and like leading Ezra to it essentially, and then also that the fact that they fucking and this is like I was rewatching it with him, and I was thinking to myself like the fucking Emperor, like has part of the temple rebuilt on like a Star Destroyer, with the explicit purpose of trying to get Ezra Bridger to go through it, to go back in time, I guess, or something. Why? What does the Emperor need to go to that means for? To delete, get rid of Ezra Bridger, to like change things, whatever that means, like whatever that, I don't know what that changes, having him going back, but like what is the significance of that? Why is it so important that like he would need to do that?
So
Maybe even one of you guys have an answer to me, but I don't know.
I don't have an answer. I don't. What I have though is, I guess we'll go to thumbs up, thumbs down, and then we can go to a little bit of explanation. I do want to point out though that you really, because I wanted to throw my Thrawn thought in there real quick.
Yeah.
Is that you get to see homage to Thrawn, and the Legends version of Thrawn, of the heir to the Empire in his office.
Oh yeah,
with the, I don't know how to say
the
it.
art. I don't know what you're talking
The
about.
lizard things.
The lizard. The force sensitive. Yeah, the anti-force lizard things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isalamari or something like that.
It'll be interesting if they bring those in. Or
They
not.
bring them in the but they're his ornamentation, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they really pay homage to that. Now, thumbs up, thumbs down, real quick. Jack, thumbs up, thumbs down. How do you feel about the World Between Worlds? Is it a good addition or a bad addition? Thumbs up for good.
Love
thumbs
the
down
World
for bad.
Between Worlds. I think it's one of the best additions that Dave Filoni brought into canon.
Love, actually. I think it could have been easily went off the rails, and I think it's done with a decent amount of. I think it's done well.
Thumbs
Rich?
up. It's done really well.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
It's cool. Admittedly, I've got to watch it a little bit more and get a little bit better understanding of it.
Yeah, you got to watch that episode a couple times.
Yeah,
like,
there's
you just notice shit.
I have a few things that I want to like,
And then there's a
and we're
connection
gonna
to the
see it,
Mortis
and I
stuff,
really
which
think
is
we're gonna
like-
see it again. I definitely think that
Yeah, 100%.
on the Ahsoka show, we're definitely gonna see some stuff, and I think we're gonna see a live action version of that fight.
Yeah, I think that'll be really cool.
So
That would be really
I think we're
cool.
gonna do
the
That
only
fight.
the only problem that I have with the new timeline theory
There are some things. That
when
don't work.
they go in when Ezra goes into the World Between Worlds, you can hear Rey and Kylo and Obi-Wan speaking to Rey. So like I wouldn't mind.
But I think it could change after that, because wouldn't the change have happened like later? So wouldn't that be just the timeline in the moment? I don't know though. We don't know the rules of time travel
we don't.
at all. So we only know that he pulled Ahsoka out. That's
To
it.
quote
Like,
Loki and Doctor Who and all of these things.
Yeah, but every sci-fi.
But every sci-fi has different rules for time travel. and,
I'm
like,
a huge Star Trek fan. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, and the rules of time travel in Doctor Who versus
Yeah, they
Star
don't-
Trek
not same at
are
all.
incredibly different.
All I was gonna say is there's fixed points.
yeah.
Okay, it's like going to kill baby Hitler. You just don't do it.
Yeah, but in Star Trek there are no fixed. Star Trek doesn't have fixed points, but Doctor Who
Oh
does.
snap! He got you there.
Well, Star Trek's dumb.
Okay.
It is not dumb,
your
but
mic
anyway,
just-
so we should move on to the other
His
two
mic
things.
just stopped working. Everybody,
We
just
should
so you
run
know.
into the other two
Yeah,
things
let's
that we have to
keep
talk to
going.
about
Yeah.
in this one episode.
To answer that and close out Rebels, I mean, there's so much to cover. We want to know what you guys think of the comments, but World Between Worlds, thumbs up. But however, I'm going to go back to all is as the Force wills it to be. Okay, fixed points. So Rey and all them, and this kind of goes back to what Julian was saying. Though I would love to see them retcon using the World Between Worlds, it's not going to happen.
No, I
because
doubt
what the
it's
hell's
gonna
the
happen like
point?
that.
And then
It's
we
just
get
dumb.
into
It's just a dumb idea to get out of things. Like that's why I don't like time travel stuff.
No, I'm just thinking. Here's the
Like,
thing.
don't get me wrong, World Between Worlds is great.
My theory
but
is
using it as a cop out bothers me.
No, but
Yeah,
I
I get that.
Weirdly enough, part of this I think all happens to do with the fact that I don't. Let's be all right. It came out. This one. Want to know when this episode came out?
Did it come out after episode 8?
No, it came out right before episode 8. It came out the same year. It
So,
came
um,
out it literally it's almost in anticipation. Like it's almost like
Just in case
well,
it was bad?
Yeah, like it's almost like somebody who knows Star Wars better than most of the people that were making decisions for Star Wars at the time. Kind of saw the script a little bit and then built it out.
so
Yeah, so am I wrong? It's like one of the guys who has a decent amount of like power and control,
People
sees
call
a lot of the narratives.
People call him like George Lucas Jr.
Yeah, like I think that guy might have been smart enough. Hey, I might run this shit one day, and like also like they might need the out one day. They might genuinely
might
it.
need it.
Maybe.
Like,
well,
but
who
the-
knows? We'll see after the
so-
Ray movie.
Uh,
Anyway,
Next.
so let's
Yeah,
move
if
on.
okay.
We've got
So
limited
now we
time
go-
left,
we
boys.
go-
We got to move on.
I think we got to pick one.
we got so now Rebels actually plays into the
flash
next
forward 5 years.
probably Rogue.
goes
right?
into the next area or generations, which time frames they kind of overlap into this area. We get Rogue One. Jack, you have 3 words or less of why Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie
3
ever.
words.
It is not.
It's not.
It's
It's
not.
fucking not.
I'm kidding. No. So what?
I mean, this is
Outside of the
yeah.
Skywalker, I think it's one of the out of the 2 anthology movies and the expanded universe.
It's like, yeah, what's better? This is Solo.
Which
And I don't even
and
like Solo.
I guess
but-
Clone
I mean,
Wars.
I like Solo.
No,
but-
so okay, what's your we can get to the nitty-gritty there in a second. Introduction to director Krennic. What did you think?
I loved Krennic.
He's a
I
great
thought
character.
that he was one of the best. Like, I love to see the fact that we got to like look at the perspective of like a lower ranking Imperial officer.
Be careful
Like-
not to choke on your
The
ass.
No,
dad
he's
jokes.
so like that. Like the subtlety of that character, where he's not even like a smart admiral.
No.
Really, he just
just an
had
ass.
he just literally
He's a
had a
science
connection to Galen Erso and knew of his experiment, the type of technology. And that's a similar thing to like when say Nazi Germany fell, and then
Operation
and then
Paperclip.
Operation Paperclip, and then the Soviets fighting over different scientists. He just kind of had a scientist that he knew nearby and leveraged his connection to him, with the Empire to gain a position of prominence and piggyback off the work of other people.
Like to see him get trampled
Yeah.
almost every step of the way in this movie. I loved it. Like
Even
how
the accent change. He has an Australian accent instead of the typical British one. Almost to it's less posh,
Yeah.
less refined in a way. That's a very purposeful choice as well. So literally every little thing that you're talking about.
So are you yay or nay on Krennic?
I love Krennic.
Yay or nay,
yeah, I'm
Julian?
good, Yeah.
Krennic's great.
Okay, so Julian, what's your take? And I'm Christian. I definitely called you Julian,
good.
and I apologize. I was just going around the circle, but so what? Christian voiced his thoughts on
Yeah,
Krennic,
yeah.
and Julian, what are yours?
I think he's great.
That's
That's
it.
it?
Just
Yeah, I
that
think we-
simple.
I think
I think he's a
Jack
great
kinda covered
character.
it,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just I'm not going to get too much into it, but he's a great character. The Ben Mendelsohn is a great villain. He's phenomenal. He plays a great villain in almost everything he does.
Yeah.
And also like they said, it's nice to see somebody who's in the lower ranks who really just worked his way up from connections and honestly just gets his ass beat. He's a good villain that you just as soon as they're up on that watchtower and she totally kicks his ass and you're like, this is awesome. And then
he dies
and
like
then,
a bitch. It's great.
yeah, and he dies like a little bitch and
he gets hit with a fucking
Staring
laser.
at
He doesn't
gets
get
hit
up.
with the
Like he
Death
doesn't get up and
Star.
I'm gonna.
directly
He just
with the-
dies. He just
Yeah.
dies. Like
He's
it's
literally
Speaking
looking
of
at
which,
the Death
but-
Star
Can we talk
eye.
about the Death Star in this movie?
Not yet.
Like,
Not yet.
we'll get there in a second.
Not yet. Okay, so
Jordan, what are your
Krennic?
thoughts on Krennic?
Krennic, I liked because you could see how it's just how cutthroat the Empire is. He's a
yeah.
great representation of the internal infighting that the Empire has
the
to deal with.
bureaucracy.
Yeah. I think he's good. I think he's a good different take, kind of like Thrawn is, just a different
Yeah.
perspective of a villain.
Actually, similar. Yeah.
It's very similar. I like that they introduced him now in Bad Batch, which is cool because you get to see him coming up through the ranks now. Hopefully,
That was a weird cameo. That's
yes,
weird.
weird, but it shows that
Was it
it's
Ben
going on.
Mendelsohn?
Yes,
Yeah.
weirdly
Okay, cool.
enough. He had
Cool.
one line.
So, all right. Am I the only one who hated CGI Carrie Fisher?
I think anybody
This
who
was
has
the start
no
of this,
wait a second.
This trend.
Anybody
This
okay, I'm gonna
is the worst.
put my
trend
hands
ever.
down. Anybody who criticizes shit like that needs to take a second and look at and realize that they have absolutely been able to completely reconstruct her for 0.2 seconds of the movie versus the piece of shit Luke Skywalker we got in fucking Mandalorian. She looks phenomenal. She says one word and she is
Yeah, I didn't
fantastic. And
understand-
anybody who
To be
criticizes
fair,
that,
I didn't
fuck
actually
yourself.
I didn't think she was that bad.
I didn't think she was that
It's
bad.
just no. I don't know what more of my problem is that scene's unneeded.
That's
Jordan
more so.
it's like-
she was amazing.
That scene.
That's
is not,
more so what it was.
That scene is like it's almost like we don't need that. It can end with the ship going off, you know, and
yeah,
Vader
it's
looking
not
off.
necessary.
No, I'll tell you
we
why
don't
I
need
love it.
We don't need hope.
I will
Again,
tell you.
like,
I
we
will.
don't-
First of all, the hope's got to be in there.
Also, Tarkin fucking. There's
Okay,
only one scene Tarkin.
that was
listed
what
in
I.
this.
Let me
There's a
let me
single
give.
scene.
Let me have a quick turn.
Tarkin's a bucket of
Let me
brick.
have a
He's
quick
PS2
turn.
Christian,
character.
shut up.
Totally,
Your dad wants to
totally right. General like everybody bitches about Leia, but Tarkin's
Yeah, Tarkin's
awful.
way worse.
At least Leia looked like,
It's like-
Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, for like a 2, and she's only there for
Am I
2
the only one
seconds.
who
You know
liked
what I
Tarkin?
like? No. Let me see what
I thought Tarkin looked
Here's
like
He
scary.
needs to be
here's
there.
what
He
I
needs
like
to be in the
about
story.
Leia. There is the way they do it. It almost, I think they want it to almost be like magical. Like she doesn't look quite like Leia. She looks like almost like this, just like this angel vision, like almost. They wanted to really make it something like Like when she looks up, there's just something cool about it, and I
Like
think
that
it's
we just got past all the gritty, and now like
Yes.
the kind of the mythology
we
of the
needed
original
this, like,
trilogy
this
starts a little
clean,
bit.
beautiful princess
The
after
fantasy of it,
like
like-
all the shit that we just saw. Like to me, it's a
That is a good point.
transition
Yeah.
to how we're getting from that movie into what we're going to see now.
Yeah, and
that's
even with
why.
the
and
shit
I
taking
and I don't.
off,
I
like-
mean, I love the way they did it. I love the tech. And like you brought up a good point. Like the Luke Skywalker's terrible. We still loved it anyway. And like Tarkin,
exactly.
Tarkin looks like they got some old guy. They threw some thing on him,
Although
and then
I
they
will say, has
and then
everyone
they did
seen
some weird
the
computer
pictures
shit.
of the guy that they casted it to like be the body double for Luke Skywalker? Like,
looks- they shoulda just
it's
used
like,
his
what the
face.
fuck are you doing? Like just let the dude. Like you have a guy who looks identical. Maybe he doesn't sound like him or whatever, but like,
No, it's
come on.
definitely it's AI voice for.
I definitely thought they should just cast Sebastian Stan. But that's
they
neither
should
here
just-
The
nor
guy,
there.
no, but
Like
did
you
you
can
see the
recast
he did.
characters.
The
Like
guy
that's
that
a thing you can do. The guy looks and like I like
They did it-
I
and
like
also they
Alden
did it with
Ehrenreich
Han
as Solo.
Solo,
That's
so-
what I'm saying. I like Alden Ehrenreich
So,
as Han Solo,
did
but like
you-
that guy looks way more like Luke Skywalker, like Mark Hamill than Alden Ehrenreich ever did like Harrison Ford.
I'd like to interject real quick.
Yeah, you
Go
good.
Kathleen Kennedy. And I know
So
that we
God.
all love
Oh,
Kathleen Kennedy.
My
here.
favorite human.
Hey, while you're out there, grab me a
we
beer.
stand
So
what's
Kathleen
it?
Kennedy said that the reason that they went with CGI Luke Skywalker instead of the body double is because of the hate that Solo got.
Wait, what?
She's so full of shit. she is a liar. She's a liar. Every time she talks about Star Wars, I want to leap through my computer / television / phone and beat the crap out of her because she's full of shit. She makes stuff up.
But
she
that-
just says shit.
That was the reason that
That is
Okay.
that
she
is
came
not
out.
even like that's not even like
Christian's
oh.
literally
Christian got a
gone.
beer.
Christian left. I heard his car. He's driving to Florida or wherever.
He got
You got a beer.
He drank.
bring
He got
me
a
one?
beer.
Wait, who brought beer?
There's
It's in the
always
fridge.
beer. I practically live
I thought
here.
he was about to get up and get
Oh,
me one.
so-
No,
I'll go get you a beer.
Fuck
I go to the
yeah.
White Shop.
Listen,
So I just don't. God, like, I don't know.
But yeah, that
we're
like,
talking about Kathleen
the-
Kennedy.
in
Everybody needs a
in
beer.
an interview, she
What
said
did I
that.
miss?
That's what she said.
So,
So
I'm sorry,
I
I'm sorry, I
have-
forgot.
okay, so
I,
wait,
I literally deleted it from my brain. Please say again.
No, we'll come back to it when we talk about Solo.
So I wanna jump back to the question that we totally just blew right past, which is the first question that you said, which is like the dumbest comment I've ever heard come out of your mouth, which is that Rogue One is the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. You're a fucking idiot. Like, have you ever seen Episode
That's a little
5?
harsh.
Like, I'm sorry. Sorry, not to. No,
I will
I'm sorry.
say-
That was a
I
little
was-
harsh.
I was,
Let
this
me-
is
let me
clearly
just-
the best
let me-
one of
let-
the new ones.
Let me
right?
just
Do
say,
we all
this
agree?
is. No, I
Come on, it's the best of the three. It's not even. I mean, it's the best of the new canon. Come on.
I don't know.
All
I
right,
still
let
think
Julian
I
cook.
still think Episode 7 is great.
Let
but,
Julian cook.
But here's my thing: Rogue One is a good film, but and it's amazing,
It's
and
messy.
the story is great. It's amazing. However, it is we already know the plot of the movie. It's something that we already know. Like the reason I like Solo, like not that I like Rogue One better, but like Solo is really good because it's something is totally different. Like it's a
See,
character.
I feel the exact
characters-
opposite as you. I think the exact I think the same way you think, but about Solo. Like I like Solo, but it shouldn't exist. Like there's nothing in Solo that I think is needed for me to see. Like there's
okay,
nothing
so
in
anyway-
a single moment of that movie that I needed as a Star Wars
Anyway,
fan
so-
to
so-
know.
so wait, wait, wait,
You
wait,
knew you were getting the Kessel Run.
Okay, so-
You knew you were getting the Kessel Run, and you knew he had to be You knew how to be Chewy.
Well, no, I know that, but like I don't know. It was just like a little bit more. I don't know. But here's the thing with like Rogue One, it is hands down the best Star Wars film with the best visual effects.
Yes.
Oh,
It is
without a doubt.
visually
Without a doubt.
the most
It literally
beautiful
screwed over the
work that has
sequels.
ever come
Like,
out of
genuinely.
it.
Without a
blows
doubt.
all
It screwed the sequels
it
over,
blows
'cause it looks so much
every
better.
single
Everything
one,
away.
like everything, and like the the fucking Star Destroyer when it comes out of the shadow of the Death Star reflector dish.
Every new design in that
Oh
fucking
my
movie
god,
is
it is
great.
amazing. K2SO is beautiful.
The Imperial,
God.
Imperial
Oh my
security
God.
droids, Death Troopers, Sand Troopers, Shore Troopers, like
it
all
looks
those
like
shit.
it's they took
TIE
what they
fighters
did,
they
but
had.
like they took what they did in the originals, which is like they did models and props and everything, which is like they didn't do that in
Dude,
the
they
sequels.
remodeled a new dude. The Star Destroyers in the final battle. They
down.
literally did a
Calm
new
down.
model. It's like they're not instead of like the usual model, which is like this is some really nerd shit. But like instead of the usual ISD-2, which is like the usual like standard issue like model of Star Destroyer, for some reason they went in like did Model 1s, which are like only described in like books and stuff, and they literally redesigned a whole new thing, and it was so good that when they ran out of time for episode 9 for the end, they decided that all the Emperor's ships should be the Imperial Model 1, an outdated ship from the early days of the Galactic Empire.
The thing that I like the most about it is that like with the models and the props and everything being real is like you can tell that it's really there. Like, yeah, there's compositing and you have to like mix it with the Death Star and put everything in space. But like when the Star Destroyer crashes into the shield over Scarif, that is like a real model, and you can tell it's real. The explosions look real. It looks so good. Aside from the weird Peter Cushing thing, it looks so realistic. The lightsabers, the space battle, the ships, the planets,
the fight on
robots,
the beach.
everything.
The fight on the
beach is amazing.
That
It
whole
talks about beautifully. It is hands down
shot of
the most
Can
beautiful
we talk
piece
about
of Star Wars
the
work.
X-wing coming out of hyperspace, like the mounted camera, like just
at
off
the start of the
center?
battle?
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
so good.
When
Well,
Carrick,
it's
or what's
wild
his
that the
name,
best,
wakes up and sees the Death Star coming up, and he knows he's dead, is great.
Oh, also finally
Gerrera?
seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. When
Krennic, yeah.
when
Yeah.
Krennic's laying there and he's like, "Oh, they're
It's
gonna fucking
hubris.
kill me.
Also, the thing
They're
that I
gonna
really
fucking
liked,
kill me."
was seeing the Death Star on the horizon thing.
Yeah.
That is like
Over
you,
the sun.
you finally get to see.
They made the Death Star scary again.
you
Like,
finally get to see what
the
it
eclipse.
looks like from the
planet.
planet.
That's one of the scary. That's one of the scary scenes in Star Wars. Like genuinely, like it's just all like you just see the crust like just curling towards you, like in the distance. Like when they're trying to get away and they have to like literally hyperspace out of it to get away.
I'll make them
like,
for you.
Yeah, and
Like
you
the crust
also-
is dissolved is like literally falling onto them faster than their ship is going at like with sublight thrusters. Like
This
they
kind
have
of
to
breaks
go-
my heart for Survivor, just for records, because like a Jeddah, they're like,
Oh, poor Jeddah.
they're all
half a Jedda's okay.
Spoilers
still.
for
Spoilers, shut up. I'll
Jedi
shut up.
Survivor.
But also, like the other thing I wanted to say about that too is like, they also did a real. Gareth Edwards does a really good thing with like setting the Death Star in a reality that they didn't in the original movies by literally
The scale.
flipping it upside down
Oh,
and showing it like that
Yeah.
one shot. And I had my mother went, we went saw Rogue One, and that one shot of the Death Star when it's upside down in space, she goes, "Is that a mistake?" And I was like, "No, it's in space, and so it could be in any rotation, and it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because they're orbiting a planet." And she was like, "Oh my god, that's genius because you can show like all these different angles of all this stuff."
Even
It's
the like,
so
isn't
cool.
the shot when they like literally fire it down? You see it like literally hit the planet from ground
Yeah.
level, and it's literally like blocking out the sun.
Yeah.
Well, it's doing that.
Yeah.
Like it's a crazy
One
shot.
of the things, and it plays into the upside down Star Destroyer that I really loved about this movie is like the fact that it can travel through space. Like in episode 4, you don't really get the feeling that it's like
you get the feeling that
moving.
it kind of stays.
You get the feeling that it drifts slowly.
Yeah,
'Cause,
like it's just like stationary for the whole movie, and
Well,
we
also,
happen upon it.
Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga makes it canon that they can
can
like
fly
hyperspace
it.
travel because you tap into one of your like massive ships and it does like a cutscene of space and the ship just.
They will never show that.
They would never show that
They
in a
will
movie,
never
but that
show
would be
that. I
sick
guarantee
if they
you.
did that.
There's
that
no way
would
to
be
edit that.
terrifying if that like you're on the planet surface and it's just like.
There's the Death Star.
There was a
Boom.
TikTok, a visual effects TikTok of somebody who was like point of view from Alderaan. And it was like you're looking at a lake and they look up into space and all of a sudden you just hear woof, and the Death Star literally warps in and then fires the beam.
It's like the
all really
silence
iconic
after-
settings they introduce in here.
it's
Like,
like
it's
this-
a Jeddah. But even Scarif, I think Jeddah and
Scarif
Scarif
is
are like
awesome.
really good.
What were you saying?
Yeah,
I
like
say
Jeddah
it's like the
Nova.
silence though, like when you get the atomic bombs. They said that because it just vacuums all the sound away. It's just like. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's exactly why
It's
they go to the Scarif thing when they have it. It's
Yeah.
supposed to harken to like the Pacific Theater and like the
Pacific
Nukes and
there.
stuff
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Mhm.
And
Which is cool because like that's the first time Star Wars has always like leaned into like the kind of like the European theater a lot of the time for like their inspiration, but that was like the first time they leaned into like the more of the Pacific.
what I liked about Rogue One and why my opinion of why it's the greatest Star Wars movie of all time is biased and my perception
personal fave, yeah.
is because it's a war movie. It's not.
I
And I talked about this
thought
in
Attack of
previous
the Clones
episodes.
was the best movie of all time.
That's the best main Skywalker saga movie of all time.
Okay, that makes sense.
So this is outside Star Wars anthology film,
All two of
Jackass.
Yeah, continue.
Or show, whatever depiction, is because it's a war movie and everybody dies.
It's. I mean,
I do like
I
the
mean,
consequences.
three,
you
that
know?
also
okay, so
happens.
I'm a huge fan of the old war movies. Like, so, Dirty Dozen, Magnificent Seven, which is obviously a Western, but all the old war movies. And it is, when I remember when they were making Rogue One, and I think you and I talked about it, I'm like, we heard it was coming out, I'm like, they're gonna Dirty Dozen this thing where pretty much everybody's gonna die because they have to die, because otherwise wouldn't we ever see these characters in fighting the rebellion?
Rogue One gave me such a false sense of security.
Like
going forward, because I was like, oh my god, Disney did two good Star Wars movies that I kind of enjoy, like in a row. Like they actually understand
Because
this.
they did 7
Wow.
and then they did Rogue One.
10
and then
months
they were
later.
like, hey, here's
It's
episode 8.
like-
You're like, fuck.
It's like,
I like how we've talked about
I
Rogue
love how
One
they
for like
oh my
45
God.
minutes now, and we haven't even mentioned like a character.
No,
from
we're
the
gonna,
main
I'm
group.
about to do that. Real quick, I do love how. Actually, no, I forgot it. Fucking move on.
I was just gonna
Forget
I
it.
say-
honestly don't think we have enough
we
time
talked
to
about
talk
the
about.
we talked about
Yeah,
the bad
what are we at time-wise?
guy. We are at an hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh, we're good. We got
Ooh.
Let's
We
roll
got
and
we got
go
about
for a
10
little
minutes to
So-
fucking speed through Solo.
Well, I don't think there's much time to waste on that
Rogue One
anyways.
today. I think we'll have to
Listen,
We'll do Solo
Solo's
another time.
simple. Solo is simple. It was not a good
a
movie.
good movie.
And
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
don't
like
We'll
think-
talk about it at a later date.
We have to talk about it
but
a later date, but I will tell you
It's
that
an unnecessary movie.
It's an unnecessary movie.
Maybe the
but
next
it's fine,
episode we'll
though.
talk
there's
about
a lot
Solo
of problems in
specifically.
Solo, but there is a lot of good stuff.
It's
in
like a
Solo.
I
Marvel
agree.
movie.
There's a lot
I
of
think
stuff
it-
in Solo that I actually enjoy.
I think
Chewbacca's
it's a very
great.
Fun movie.
The
to watch.
relationship, the building of the relationship between Han and Chewie is amazing.
That shit's like
the,
black.
also the okay, really
we finally
really
got
quick.
the Chewie that we always knew was out there. We finally get to see that freaking
also,
Chewie.
also real quick, and I just want to make this point because this is my favorite part about the entire Solo movie is the scene where Chewie and Han meet each
Yeah,
other.
that's a really
Yes.
good scene.
It is shot like a horror film.
Yes.
He comes out of the shadows, and you're like,
Yeah, I think that's
What
an
the
adequate
fuck?
introduction for the two
it
characters.
is done so well. And like honestly, as much as everybody gives shit to Alden Ehrenreich, he played that
He did.
character.
He's
He
very
played
good.
I have,
so
I have
well.
very little
He's
issue with
very
that
good.
character. He's not. He doesn't sound or look anything like Han Solo, if I'm being honest.
Well,
But
no,
he captures the
captures
character.
The attitude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He
I
captures
think
the aura,
the
which is what's
best-
most important.
there was 2 castings in that movie that really set it into not completely worth not seeing. Okay, I would watch this. Is Donald Glover as Lando?
Yeah, he's good too.
Oh,
He was
he was
fantastic. He was
fantastic.
so
Yeah.
good. They could not have picked a better actor.
No,
No,
I
he's
think
the
and
best-
he
he's
got
the
the
best
voice
modern
down.
voice,
He got
yeah.
the swagger
He
down.
was the
he got,
best. Also,
he got
like
the,
the costume design was so good. They just,
and then you
Yeah,
can't go wrong by.
I do like the costume design in that movie quite a bit.
I thought Amelia Clark as
Kira.
She could have given more to do.
I thought
but,
that was a
was-
cool storyline that they
She's
kind of
cool.
just tossed away. Like we
was
never got
was a
to see
great
anything
casting
after
because
that.
you
Well,
get
it didn't
to
make-
see
well, 'cause
the
again,
Han
they-
before Leia. You get to see the
I'm not gonna-
relationship
I would have
that's
to go
there.
to a fucking.
But
yeah,
and then the cameo that was amazing and made the whole movie for me because he is my favorite Sith Lord,
Oh,
and that
Darth
is
Maul.
Darth Maul.
And
that
then they
was
did-
that was so random.
Once
Fuck
again,
all with it.
that
at
was
the
so
end.
great
random.
cameo and a
Well, 'cause
great
they needed a
storyline,
scapegoat.
And then never did anything.
Well, I
with
think they
it.
killed
But
it because
Solo is now the Lucasfilm scapegoat. Everything bad that is associated with Star Wars is somehow associated with Solo. It doesn't have to do with the movie that made every Star Wars fan upset 6 months prior to a different Star Wars film. It has to do with the film that you released afterwards.
I
that
thought-
suffered
I
the
think Paul
consequences
Bettany was
of
great
it.
in that
Right?
movie.
Am I wrong?
Paul
like
Bettany was very
Solo
good.
did not make money because it was a Solo
Bettany,
movie and because like they put a different Han Solo in it. Solo didn't make money because the fans were upset. That's why Solo didn't make money.
I
And it
still
was
bought
6
all the
months
stuff.
later, so the casuals didn't care that much to go see
Yeah,
the
I
Star
get
Wars
that.
movies
Solo,
6 months later.
Solo did not do as well because it came out right
Also, that
after
shit's like a Marvel movie too. If I'm being honest, that shit's like Black Widow.
yeah,
Like, that shit's
Yeah,
Like that's you know what I mean? Like it's
is
it's
the
like
Black
this
Widow
random
of the-
ass 10 years ago. It's unneeded if that makes sense. Like
Well,
when
you
could
know,
have
I
made,
always
like, a
make
Knights
the
of the Old
joke that
Republic movie, or you could have done
Solo is the Santa Claus
Sith.
is coming to town of things
Here's his
because
gun.
everything in
Here's
the
my
movie's
vest.
like, oh, so that's how Han Solo got his dice.
Here's the Millennium
Oh,
Falcon.
so that's where his name came
yes,
from.
The most important
Oh,
object
so
in
that's
all
where
of
we
Star
got
Wars.
the
Favorite
everything
dice
in
is
that
the dice.
movie is like
I can't believe they made the dice.
like
a
is
central
this like
point.
literally they should have said, oh, so that's why he has pants with a red stripe. Like everything in that
Yellow.
movie is like
I'm doing what
just
we're-
say, like,
there's too
let-
much of that.
let-
Like a couple of them would have been fine, but it's like 9 things.
and there are some really cool like things about that movie that I genuinely do like, which is like Paul Bettany is a really
Yeah, I
good
like Paul Bettany in
character.
that.
He's really
And
good.
also the opening sequence when he and Kira are trying to escape.
Yeah.
That's
from-
a good thing.
What's her name? Mother mother
The weird snake.
something.
Whatever.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
a slug person.
Like that's
Slug
an
person, yeah.
awesome scene, like an intro, and it literally like also
Yeah, Corellia's
the
cool.
the title
You do a good job
card
with
at the
Corellia.
beginning that says children are taken from their homes and become smugglers and this and this. Like that's all really cool, like world building stuff. And then they get this great chase scene, and then they get separated. Him and Kira get separated in the like space airport, and it's like really cool. And then he's
space
like,
airport.
and he's like. He's like,
What's
your
your
Space
name?
what's your
TSA.
name? And he goes,
Han.
I don't have a
Han,
name.
What's your last name? I don't have one.
Solo.
Solo. That to
That
me
shit's
was
awful.
like,
Boo.
you just had this amazing sequence where his
Yeah.
girlfriend got taken and all of this shit went down and it was crazy. Like, oh my God, it was awesome. And then they were like, oh, by the way, he's Han Solo.
Let
I
me
will
do my
say
real
it's-
quick, really, very, very quick. I just have to do my very quickly episode by episode, or actually I don't even know the word for it. I episodically shit on the sequels very quickly. I still can't believe that they in fucking episode 8
Chris is
they
gonna bring up
the
the
dice this thing that is just set dressing. It is literally not mentioned. It is not. Even, I doubt the dice is even mentioned
It's not.
by any character.
I don't
Even in the novelization, I
Are the
guarantee
dice-
you,
okay,
it's
my
not
question
mentioned.
was, like,
It just hangs there, and they make it this like Luke hands it to Leia. It's like this is Han's.
Hey, he
You
got
don't
this
you
from his
remember?
girlfriend.
Were they ever
It's like,
really?
don't
Wait a
you-
second. So I have a question. Were the dice ever actually in the original?
Yes.
Yes, they're
They're
just hanging there.
They're
In the
nothing.
background.
Yeah, you can
They're
barely
just-
see them because
they
I
You
never
know
never
why
zoomed
the
in
dice?
on them.
I
I
know why
never
the
noticed
dice
it.
are there.
It's
The
a-
dice.
They're a
It's
reference to an
American
earlier
Graffiti,
movie.
No, they're a reference to
American Graffiti.
American Graffiti.
Yeah.
Because
talked
he
about
had
this for
because he had
episodes
dice
now.
hanging from his pickup truck
They
in
were
American
so significant to
Graffiti.
the plot and
That's
to the
all it
characters.
is.
Like they were so
So-
important. Han
George
loved those
Lucas
dice.
probably got up and yelled at the screen when he saw it.
Look,
He did. I don't think George Lucas has ever.
so
watched
I don't
that
think we
movie.
need to talk about Solo in another episode.
I think we just
No,
finished
no,
it.
we just finished
All right,
it.
let's do the Rogue One characters. Let's
All
do
right,
that.
best Rogue One character,
All of them.
in my
All
opinion, is Jyn Erso, hands down. I think she's.
Chirrut is the
Oh,
best.
Chirrut.
I think
I'm on the.
I like Jyn.
I think Jin's cool.
Jin's story is cool because Jyn is kind of like the every person who's kind of like not accepting like the reality of like the universe around them. And again, like there's a great line, and I wish that they explored this into Jyn a little bit more. Where you can like stand to see like Imperial flags like rain across the galaxy, and Jin's answer is it's not a problem if you don't look up, and that's a way that like I know people in real life that think like that about like the voting and just like I'm not to get too political in the weeds, but like about that sort of thing. Like that's a very real feeling that a lot of people have when they're like dissatisfied with like the world around them. And instead of fighting back, they kind of shrivel up, they kind of become selfish, and that's her story is like opening up and then like believing in something again, and then like
Diego
dying
Luna's
for a cause.
acting in that movie
Yeah.
is so good.
I mean, yeah, he hints at so much that eventually that they've now dove into in like extremely like great ways, obviously, with Andor. But even like then you have like Chirrut. Oh yeah, you can go. Yep.
No, that's all I had to say. I just love Diego Luna in that.
Yeah. But then you have K. You have K2SO, who's like probably might be the best droid. Like Jenny, like him and Chopper. Like it's like
Him, Chopper, and R2 would have a field day. in
honestly,
the
they need a little buddy cop movie. with the
No,
three of them.
I'm really excited if we get more B.
I think
man.
I think
like B a
K2SO.
lot,
B's
too.
good too. Yeah.
They've got some really, except for that freaking BB-8.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Chirrut though. Chirrut
Chirrut
is
is amazing.
Chirrut's because Jedi and Chirrut kind of fill in for the lack of like lightsabers, I guess if you want to call it in
But
the
I
movie.
think
Yeah.
that's why I don't like him. It's
No,
more
but I like
the...
it's a different subs. I actually kind of like one of the few things I like with the Disney canon is the expansion of like what the Force means to like different.
It's more of a
So there's-
religion than it
yeah,
is.
and that's what Jeddah was so cool because it was like it's a Jerusalem-esque like
for sure.
mixture of like.
Yeah.
But even instead of like 3 religions like in our world, it's like just like dozens and dozens of Force-centric religions with all their temples and like all these different old ancient
Like, you would see
buildings
the Zepho
and
there and
statues
stuff like that.
on top like built on top of one another. Like it's this incredibly culturally like rich world that you barely spend any time on, yet it feels so alive. And then you introduce like modern elements like
the production design of
like
Jeddah
really
is
like the more
ridiculous.
like radical like type rebels like with the Saw Gerrera's
Gerrera.
partisans. Like that's a really like lived in like real feeling like place. And Chirrut is like kind of is like this he's a force sensitive like who follows one of these religions, and he's kind of able to use
He's not
like,
force
yes he is.
He's force
Chirrut is
sensitive,
very yes
100%.
Chirrut is 100% force sensitive. Not every force sensitive is a Jedi and can use the force.
No,
Some,
I just
like
didn't
there's
think
just
he was. I
levels you
think
can
I think he was just. I thought he was just a monk.
no, I think he is a level of force sensitivity. That's what the lasers going around him. him are. That's kind of why he's able to use. He's blind and has enhanced senses. That type of thing.
But I thought that was the point of his character, was that he wasn't force sensitive, but
No,
because he was blind, he
has
was
like a
able
little
to
bit
figure it out. Like I thought they literally okay. This is the one thing I
guess
have
there's
to
different. Like,
this is the one thing I
interpretations
have
of
to
that.
combat you on is that he literally says I don't have the force, but the force is here and I know how to use it. Like he literally says that he's not a force sensitive person. He just because he talks about the
Does he
Jedi.
say that, or does he
Well,
say I'm
says,
not a
"Are you
Jedi?
a Jedi?" And he says he's not a Jedi.
Yeah, he says
there are no
he says
Jedi.
he's not a
I don't think he
Or
says he's
there are
not.
he says there are no Jedi here, which I like that
Oh,
because
there are no Jedi here. That's right.
Yeah.
He does say
yeah.
that.
So I like that because that
I'm not
opens
saying
up
he has
to
a high
world.
level because
I'm
we
not
always
saying that he's
assume
like a-
everybody
Well, I mean, I
has.
guess
everybody has a little bit.
And the
of
new
it.
canon is made like
maybe
Night
he just
Sister
has
magic
slightly
Force
more than the
stuff.
average person.
Yeah, and the Bendu is Force stuff in the new canon, and the Night Sister magic is now like new magic.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff.
wield the dark
so,
side of
so
the
they've
Force.
they've introduced a lot of different like kind of
different manipulations
subsections
of the
it,
Force,
like,
other than just the Jedi
So
in this episode.
this is just off of Google.
yeah.
Okay, this is my source. Shirut was not force sensitive. He just had a deeper connection to the force. He was like a.
Just force
He's
sensitive.
more like a
That
Buddhist
essentially
monk.
just
That's
means
just
force sensitive.
Yeah,
though.
that's just.
Yeah,
Like, if
I
you
don't
have
know
a
what the
connection
difference
connection
is.
to the
No,
Force, you're
it's
force
like-
sensitive.
it's like
actually, the
It's
Wookiees
either
actually had
it's
something in
half
that
dozen
match
or
recently, too,
sex.
actually.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the difference.
No,
between
what
those
I
two
mean
are.
by
Even
that,
Plo
I
Koon-
think
No, I know
Plo
you're just
Koon's
reading
species
it. I
have,
know
like, a
it's- no,
specific
you're-
kind of subsection.
he
Jedi
willed a
thing.
deeper
Like, there's all
connection to
sorts
the
of stuff.
Force. It's like being at a higher sense of enlightenment with the Buddhists. That's the
Okay.
way
I guess
interpret
maybe
it.
I can see it. I can
Yeah,
see.
I guess
I don't
so.
hate that.
I never
but-
viewed him as a force-sensitive person. I just viewed him as somebody who literally, because of his disability, had trained himself to use the
Heightened
essentially
senses.
the
Well,
I think there's a
similar
level of-
styles
Kinda like
of the
Kanan.
Force. Almost like it, yeah, but Kanan has the Force.
Well, there
But
are
I mean-
a couple random like it's even like there's an idea that Jyn Erso's mother is like force sensitive. Like
she had a
that's
kyber crystal.
she has a kyber crystal necklace, and I think there's some in the novelization. I think there's a
Yeah,
little bit that
that'd be
alludes
cool,
towards
too.
it as well. So I think there's a level of like having these like level of characters that are because again being force sensitive doesn't necessarily there are force sensitive who technically can't like harness the force necessarily.
And you can also
because he
u-
kind of only used like I don't know I have no idea what the fucking the lasers going around him thing is. That's never been explained by anything really beyond that like the force just like
wasn't
just
supposed
just
to die
yeah
yet.
just beyond the force just literally like
All
change,
is
like,
as the
it-
Force wills it to be.
literally like that that's literally what he's I don't know if you have to channel something for that I don't know what that
Was
type of
I the
idea
only
is.
person in this room who thought that Chirrut's staff was gonna be a lightsaber at some point?
No, I
thought
thought
it
that would have
was-
cheapened it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it, I didn't think
I
they would
thought it
pull
was
a,
gonna
light,
be
a
like
Jedi
one
out
of
of there.
what are the
I was surprised they put Vader in this. So,
Praetorian Guard.
or at least the
Cloney.
lightsaber, at least. So, sorry.
I thought it was gonna be like one of the Praetorian Guard.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna
Like
be
a lightsaber
but I thought it would
pike,
be
but
like
like a
one of
laser-
those like
a vibro
purple
sword
staff
or something
things,
like
yeah.
that.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Mhm.
Purple staff things that the
Electro staffs.
the
Electro
electro
staff,
staffs
yeah.
that you get in Mandalorian or in Fallen Order or that kind of stuff.
Or you like what's his name?
Which, by the way,
bodyguards, Magna Guard's body.
God.
Julian in his.
Nope. Look, so
Everyone's favorite character.
Look.
Blaze Malvis.
I think
So he had so much to do in the
I
story.
think the best scene of the movie, besides them all dying, is
Wow, that's dark.
All right. Then.
well, because it shows that there's real consequences, but is Vader the
Well,
scene
yeah, I
that
mean,
was
that-
that was
the best scene in
That's
the
the-
directed
that's
by
part of the
Dave
reason
Filoni
that the
was
movie
you
did
get,
so well.
You get horror in Star Wars this way. And I think that Star Wars horror movie, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but a Star Wars horror movie would just work wonders.
I would
for me.
love it.
That was so high on my bucket list of things I wanted to see of just of Vader just tearing through like
They
just,
never do it,
like
though.
just everyday rebels. You know what I mean? Like
And it was so
It was done
Cool.
so well.
Let me.
it really is a fan service moment.
it
Yeah.
really is.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
But
I'm not
it's
mad about
not,
But it works, though.
It's not necessary. I mean,
Yeah.
it's there because they wanted to be like, hey, you want to get everybody excited for the last 10 minutes of the movie, but it just is like
It's
executed so well with the dark hallway, and then as the lightsaber turns on, you get that beautiful.
But it also builds up
And it's
to the
so
desperateness of the ending.
Yeah.
Well, and
That like
also,
they
got
gotta
hands
get the
off
fuck
the
out of
door,
there
and then,
with
like,
the
they barely
plans.
get it away.
you know?
And then also it really shows how fucking close they were.
Yeah.
Before episode 4.
Yeah.
Like, not only does that movie end like 15 minutes before episode 4, but he was there. Him and Leia were like me to my car away.
Right.
And he was right there on top of her. And
Yeah.
then
And just remember this, Michael Flynn. that back to charge Vader like a battery.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry,
Jack,
Michael.
go ahead though. You wanted to say something.
So I wanted to deep dive into our most knowledgeable source, TikTok, real quick, where
Shots fired.
where
Like a stormtrooper.
there was I saw a TikTok and it was like, can we discuss how petty Vader is that he turned off his lights on his chest piece so that he wouldn't get seen in the hallway.
He's not breathing during that moment. He's waiting.
He just held his
But he
breath.
is because you hear him.
Yeah,
No, that is true.
he just turned off the lights.
There's
so that no one would
night
see
mode, stealth mode. Okay.
Yeah.
Change the
That
suit
is,
out
but
before the
that's
next
like
scene,
a
you know?
that is something that you
hilarious.
have to be like, damn it, because then you're like,
brilliant.
it wouldn't make sense for him to turn it off. Like he can't survive without it being turned off,
just
especially
put- he
in
put black
Obi-Wan.
gaffer's tape on
Obi-Wan
it, that's
smashes it, and he like immediately is. So it's like.
Maybe just put some black gaffer's tape on it.
Yeah,
You know, like, you know.
about black gaff on it, and then then in the next shot, it's lit up.
Yeah.
So it's
He
He
took the
like,
tape
100%
off.
turned it off.
he just went in. He just went
Wait.
click, sleep mode.
Shit.
We just
Battery
didn't see. They
saving
were
thing.
doing a shot of the rebels when he turned it back on, so we just didn't see that part.
And
Right.
it would have been hilarious.
It's like,
It's,
hold on, guys.
it's in the deleted scenes.
In
just
the deleted
walking down
scene,
the-
he's like,
He's
got a little
Click.
switch. But I love little
Fuck
things
you,
like that.
TikTok.
Glow in the dark Vader.
All right.
Yeah.
Space battle in this, because like let's be okay. This is a kind of relates to the sequels again, but like I know I always bring it back to this, but like we have this, but like.
I
but,
will say,
but like,
episode
why
7 had
is
a
like the
good space
only
battle.
space battle done by the Disney like Disney Star Wars in Rogue One? Why is this the only one?
I like 7.
7
Bring
had-
up
Seven
a
is just in
hammerhead
atmosphere,
Corvette.
and there's like 4 scenes. There's like 4 scenes in that make up the space battle in Episode 7. There's
it's
3
gotta be
shots of them
centric
flying
to the
around
plot.
above, and then there's 1 shot of Poe going into the thing.
It's
Like there's
gotta
very
be-
little going on.
Yeah, there
It's
is.
like
gotta be central
Episode
to the
6
plot.
has Episode 8 has none basically.
It has the
whole
woman
The
in
space
beginning.
is barely a fight. Like there's just a chase for most of the time. Like
Well,
they don't count
also the-
like for
We're just
instance,
not gonna talk about all the bombers.
episode
don't
5
talk
that's
about
not a
those.
that is not a
We
fight.
don't talk about
We don't
the
talk
bombers.
about the
But
That's
that-
not a fight.
That has to
though.
be like it has to be. I need something to be coherent for it to be considered like a fight, and like that doesn't involve bombers like standing still like miles in front of the thing and a sneak attack like getting attacked before the sneak could even get there. Like it needs to be some level of of coherence.
And then
for
you
me
get
to accept
Exegol
that.
at 9.
And Exegol
Yeah,
is
yeah.
not a fight either. That's just a bunch of ships flying around in a void.
I very much like Exile just because
I
like
thought Exegol was
it
good.
was
just
it
like,
was emotional
it's a
for
rush
me.
job.
Like
It's a rush job. It's a bunch of
agree.
ships
I
flying
love the
around
space
with a
horses.
background. Like the entire movie's a rush
but yes,
job. So
Rogue
there's
One
nothing
did
to
have
like,
an
but-
amazing space battle.
It did. I
And
think
it
it
also-
really
It's the
did
best
homage.
one. It's the fucking
Recanonizing-
best
Because
one.
it's multiple battles all going on at the same time.
And it's
Recanonizing,
so
like,
Legends
Corvette.
like too.
But they-
Yeah, like
but
the,
it's all
the
like,
Hammerhead Corvette,
Hammerhead
the
Corvette.
new
It reminds me-
Mon Cala ship that they
it
added.
reminds me of the battles in Episode 6.
Mhm.
It is very similar to like the battles in
Yeah, that's the one it's supposed to
a lot of the other films, especially like in Episode 1. There are 4 different things happening at the same time, and none of them are really affecting each other. They're all they're like, we've created 4 plot points and we need to take them all down at the same time. So you've got the droids, you got the Gungans, you've got the they're going
The
Padme
orphan in space.
and Padme, and then yeah. So you got them taking down the droid ship, you got the Gungans, you got Padme, and then you got Darth Maul. Like those are the 4 things that are happening, but none of them are really related to each other, other than the fact that like Newt Gunray is like in charge of everything.
Yeah, I think all the thing in the sequels is more similar to the Episode 1 stuff, which I think is one of the
Right.
weaker
That's what I was about to
like,
say.
space battles. Because
is that-
again, it's
that's
just a
what I was
bunch of
gonna
guys
say, like,
flying
the Rogue
around
One fight.
until the thing needs to blow up. That needs to blow up.
Right,
Whereas
well-
at least for the Death Star, like in Episode 4, you have the trench.
Well,
like,
yeah,
that's a built-in to the design thing
Right.
that like makes it longer, extends it beyond just having people flying around.
Right.
doing
Well,
nothing.
that's the thing I
Julian
wanted to
Cook.
say about
Julian Cook.
the Rogue One thing is like everything that everybody's doing is to achieve one goal, which is to break the barrier to
Yeah.
get everybody in there
and by time.
And get the plans
and
out.
Get the plan. Well, to get their people.
It's very
in to get the
tactically
plans
like
out. Like that's
yeah.
what the whole point of that is to shut down the shields to beam the stuff out. That's like the whole point. And so every single fight that happens, even the fight with Krennic, like on the tower, is literally she's still trying to do the same thing. It just happens that like he just gets in the way.
And it
But like
becomes
the
a-
goal is
Well,
the
you
same
know what?
no matter
and,
what.
And to bring up the point too is like even like the pilot, and I can't think of the pilot's name.
Bodhi.
He's on the ship
Bodhi.
and he's
Oh,
scared.
Riz Ahmed, yeah.
He's
Riz Ahmed.
scared, but he knows he's gonna die.
He get out a little.
He
bit more.
knows that to go connect to the terminal thing, he's got to run the long cord out there, and it reminds me of like, Saving Private Ryan or one of those war movies. He just knows he's gonna die. Like it's right out of Dirty Dozen. Like he's got
TNT.
like, and he's like, because remember they're gonna get, and he's like, oh.
And I do like all the characters.
And
like,
but let me
inspirations
finish.
for why
I mean,
they're
I
doing
just
stuff.
I think like so you brought up a really good point about the war movie thing, but I really like the desperate of all these characters knowing that they have to do this. Like the pilots, what is it, Blue Squad? What's the squadron that makes
Gold
it
Squadron.
in? Gold? No, the one.
No, Blue
Blue.
makes it in.
The Blue
Blue
makes
Squadron
it
gets
in,
wiped
and
out.
that's a
Gold are
nod
in
that
the-
they couldn't do Blue because of blue screening.
Yep.
But the Blue Squad, they know they're not getting out. Like it's there's a really cool thing about that all these guys and none of them have the Force, and they're all doing this stuff because it just has to be done. So I know you guys want to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we
yeah,
gotta
sorry.
wrap
Yeah,
it up.
I'm being called to do a bunch of work stuff, and I
Industry
gotta
stuff.
go because I
Okay.
leave in the morning. So
Oh yeah.
So here, real quick, Julian, you want to hit us with the question of the day then, as we conclude our talks of Rogue One?
we've talked Rogue One, Solo, and Rebels. Holy shit,
Yeah,
we
we
talked
did
about
a
Rebels
lot.
too. This is a long episode. So, question of the day: If you had to pick, like, God, the word's not even coming to my mind.
If you had
So I want to know. You know what? Here's the question of the day: I want to know your opinion on the World Between Worlds, and also what, like, if they do bring it into the live action Ahsoka show, what do you want to see happen? Because I would love, because like I have my theories of like if they did do that, I would want to see certain things happen. So if they did bring in Between Worlds into Ahsoka, what's your opinion on bringing it into live action? Are you excited for it? And what would you want to see get changed if they did do that? And Christian's gonna say retcon the sequels, but no.
I don't know. I have no.
Just tell us your opinions in the comments. Also, really,
They're not
really,
gonna
really
do
quick,
that,
I
but-
just want to plug for those who have been watching since the last time we did a podcast. We're now releasing full playthroughs of Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor on the YouTube and the Twitch channel, 760th Attack Legion on both. So go ahead and check those out because I'm reacting to that game and it is fucking insane and
So
it is probably one of the best
Great
things
game.
ever. So please go check those out. We would love for you to meet us there and also follow us on TikTok.
Yeah, so follow us on TikTok. We want to thank Emerge Studios again, as always, Amaranto Media, as well as WCBPradio.com.
BICBP. Radio.
I always
Come
say
on,
it wrong.
I was like W.
I
There's a
said
lot
it
of letters
wrong.
in there. The network.
Yeah, the network. We're gonna thank the network. I apologize
Matt
to
Johnson.
all those, Matt, out there, and TikTok, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, all the
Vine?
networks.
Are we
all
on
the
Vine?
platforms.
Parlor,
We're not on
Social,
Vine. Cake,
Reddit. It's like,
and look
Snapchat.
out
Discord.
for us. We're trying to hit
Discord.
1,000 followers on TikTok, so go out there and
Truth.
follow us so we can go live
There's
with
that.
you.
Yes.
Gab. It's
And,
like, it's like
As always, may the force be with you.
Bye. See ya.
4chan.